There's a couple of seats in here, but maybe we can.
I'm gonna put a Kleenex in there.
Amber's sister. So that's gonna be your chair, right?
Where are the Kleenexes? Good stuff.
Absolutely.
The vibe set aside.
I think I have them right there.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you on behalf of Karen's family for being here today. We have almost a full house. She would be happy. Very good. At this time, if you have a cell phone or anything that could disrupt our services, if you could just mute those, that would be fantastic. Our super nun family member, Maureen, is going to be leading our services today. So thank you all very, very much for coming.
Thank you, Chris. It's my honor and privilege on behalf of the family to welcome all of you here to this memorial service for Karen Scory Guth. I'm cousin Maureen from Grand Rapids. Karen comes from a large family of parents, siblings, aunts and uncles and cousins, and she enlarged her family with husband Dave, children John, Tracy, and Matt, daughter-in-law Tanya, grandchildren, in-laws and their families, and a very large community of friends. I am a Dominican sister, and along with some of you, I celebrate Karen's life within a faith tradition. And I am here to celebrate Karen's life with you as one of her admirers. We come today with a mix of grief and gratitude. We express these emotions in different ways, with varied belief systems and various resources to cope with this loss and carry on with resilience. All are welcome. I am certain that each of us agrees that Karen's life was well lived, overflowed with care and blessings for others, and has made our world a better place and made each of us a better person. We are here to express our thanks and then take our leave in deep confidence that Karen's spirit lives on in the ways that we each perceive her. My love for Karen began in some tender moments of new birth. It was quite a while ago. When I was 7, my brother Kevin was born, the 6th child in our family. In those days, moms got at least a week in the hospital to rest and build up strength. Karen to the rescue. She was 19, and she came from Traverse City to Grand Rapids to care for the 5 at-home Geary children and help my dad keep it all together. During the week or 10 days Karen was with us, everyone, except my brother Mike and maybe my dad, got the flu. Ugh. Karen was an incredible caregiver of sick and missing mom children. I can't even count the number of loads of laundry she must have done. Being the eldest of 8 prepared Karen for the life of compassion and stunning effectiveness that we read about in her obituary that she shared with all of us. The other quality of Karen's I want to call out is joy. I remember Karen at Grandma Voss's on Walker Street when she was studying in the Grand Rapids area. And I remember Karen at many family gatherings and family reunions. We had lots of reasons to get together in this big family. It was always a delight to be in her company. And so today, on behalf of the cousins, I express condolences to all who grieve Karen's passing and gratitude for the privilege of sharing life with her. I'd like to share a prayer with you that has great meaning for me, and of course it's by a Dominican, Father B. Jarrett. We seem to give them back to you, O God, who gave them first to us. Yet, as you did not lose them in giving, so we do not lose them by their return. Not as the world gives do you give, O lover of souls. What you give, you take not away. For what is yours is ours also, if we are yours. And life is eternal, and love is immortal, and death is only a horizon. and a horizon is nothing save the limit of our sight. Lift us up that we may see further. Cleanse our eyes that we may see more clearly. Draw us closer to you that we may know ourselves to be nearer to our loved ones who are with you. And while you prepare a place for us, prepare us also for that happy place, that where you are, we may be also for all eternity. Amen. In this reading of a poem called She Is Gone by David Harkins has been selected by the family. It speaks of the ways that Karen's life and love inspires and empowers all of us to acknowledge loss and yet carry forward her presence and love in all the days to come. You can shed tears that she is gone, or you can smile because she has lived. You can close your eyes and pray that she will come back, or you can open your eyes and see all that she has left. Your heart can be empty because you can't see her, or you can be full of the love that you shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember Karen and only that she is gone, or you can cherish her memory and let it live on. You can cry and close your mind, be empty and turn your back, or you can do what Karen would want. Smile, open your eyes, love, and go on. At this time, we're going to hear some words from family and friends who will share a bit about what Karen meant to them. And we'll begin with her son, Matt.
Morning. I'm Karen's youngest son, Matt, also known as the favorite. I know we all have a bunch of wonderful memories of this wonderful lady, and I'd like to share a couple of my favorites, a couple recent ones and a couple older ones. It was no secret in our family who was in charge, the smallest but the mightiest by far. Years back at our 9th Street house, Mom had made us a chore list, and I was busy trying to do my chores. John and Trace kept bothering me and preventing me from getting my list done. So when Mom came back, she noticed none of the chores had been done, and so she reiterated what we were supposed to be doing. But she must have had another errand to run because she stepped out, and when she came back, she had brought me this Hot Wheels. I don't know if John and Trace got gifts that day. On another occasion, also at the 9th Street house, later on I had a couple of friends over and we decided to sneak out and roam the neighborhood for whatever reason. And the other half of sneaking out is sneaking back in. Well, her bedroom was on the main floor, and as we came back in, she was sitting in the dark. And as we walked by, flipped the light, it was epic. We were very, very surprised, to say the least. Obviously, that was the last time I ever snuck out of the house. She would always make us watch 60 Minutes on Sunday evenings, but that was okay because she made great meals like beef stroganoff, pork chops and apples, spamwiches, and pigs in a blanket. I'm happy to report that she was able to meet and spend some time with her great-granddaughter. We have a great video of them playing back and forth. That was a great day for them, but it was also a great day for me and the rest of us that were there. Back in June, John and Trace and I went to Orchard Creek and paid her a visit. And on that day, our voices and our faces, we got through. On that day, we won and Alzheimer's lost on that day. That was a great one. And I also wanted to take a moment to thank the folks at Orchard Creek and Comfort Keepers and Hospice and Reynolds-Jonkhoff for their amazing care and professionalism. And also, and more importantly, all of the friends and family who got us through this long and bumpy road. We could not have done it without you. So thank you. Thank you for coming today. And Evan's up next.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Evan. I am the youngest grandchild of Karen. But I wanted to thank all of you for coming to celebrate my grandma Karen's life. Something recently my mom told me the day after my grandmother passed was that my grandmother was so much more than Alzheimer's, and that Alzheimer's does not define who my grandmother was. For I had many good memories in the years I knew my grandmother. And I'm going to, not that there weren't good memories during that time of her life, there were, I'm going to choose to focus on the very, very good memories from when I was younger. Some of those, or for my cousins and I, my grandmother, or for my cousins and I, Karen was a grandmother. For some, a mother, a sister, aunt, cousin, and also a spouse. But for everyone here, she was someone important, a coworker, teacher, neighbor, friend, and I hope that we can all still find and share, as I'm sure, earlier memories from the good old days. For me, some of my most fond memories were at Birch Lake, driving my grandmother, my grandfather, and my mom around on the pontoon, with my mom and my grandmother always chatting up, enjoying the nice weather, and each a cold LaCroix, and also wrangling the dog in the front. My grandfather supervising me while I drove, after graciously letting me drive the sacred pontoon around the lake. But some of the best times were when we would even just get to Birch Lake. My grandmother would be doing dishes in the window, or gardening, or playing solitaire on her computer while looking at the water. And she would always immediately stop and come see me and give me a big hug. And then she would take me over to her very nice dining room table next to her china and her grandfather clock, where she would show me all of the rocks and seashells she had collected over the years from going to the Turks and all over, which were also always accompanied by an assortment of pictures of everyone she held dear to her, me, the cousins, children, and all of her journeys. And then she would take me to the many lakeside windows, and she would hand me the small set of binoculars while she looked out of the large set that I always wanted to use, but I was never strong enough to hold. And we would count all the fighting squirrels on the trees, all the chirping birds at the feeders, passing boats, and I would listen for the loons that would be on the water. And to end, I came across a poem named Remember by Christina Rossetti. Remember me when I am gone away, gone far away into the silent land, when you can no longer hold me by the hand, nor I half turn to go let turn staining. Remember me when no more day by day you tell me of our future that you'd planned. Only remember me. You understand it will be too late to console or then pray. Yet if you should forget me for a while, and afterwards remember, do not grieve. For all the darkness and corruption leave a vestige of the thoughts that once I had. Better by far you should forget and smile than you should remember and be sad. And with that, I would like to invite my Aunt Mary to come speak. So thank you.
These are the sisters, as you see. I'm Mary. I'm the second of the lineup of 8, and we just have such enormous love for Karen, and we just hope to honor her by sharing some of the highlights of her remarkable life. She was, as you know, she was amazing, strong, funny, clever, much loved, sister, mother, wife, grandmother, aunt, friend. She was awesome. Being the oldest of 8 siblings, Karen wielded a certain power over her younger siblings that drew both our respect at times and also our dismay. If Mom and Dad were the bosses, then Karen was the enforcer. She kept us in line with promises of special leniency and threats of bodily harm if our cooperation wasn't forthcoming. That she was keeping us in line for our own good. As young girls, we were in awe of our big sis. She knew the latest dance steps, the coolest fashion trends. She was in the know on most subjects of interest to us. Occasionally, we're even allowed to hang out for very short periods of time with her 2 best friends, Marty Simone and Maureen Brady. We hung on every word. We were hoping that their coolness would rub off on us. Karen was a huge influence on all of our lives. She kept tabs on each and every one of us, always and forever. She had a sense of what we needed. Sometimes it was encouragement and morale boosting. Other times she would give us a kick in the pants if we needed it. She would make it a priority to check in with each of us. And like when Doug moved to Florida, and we were all up in Michigan, she would call and provide love and support and encouragement to him. And she was our go-to gal when the chips were down, and our party gal when there were accomplishments to be celebrated. As adults, we loved our times together, particularly our cherished sister weekends. During those treasured times together, we took turns hosting and celebrating each other. But the highlight of those weekends were often Karen's scory stories. The more elaborate and embellished those stories became, the more hilarious. One story she liked to tell us was about driving the 1941 Plymouth that we had in, anyway, when she was driving this 41 Plymouth, the brakes went out. Well, some of you remember this, but she pulled into a gas station but couldn't stop the car. So you remember those hoses that they would have at gas stations? Okay, well, she kept driving around, ding, 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 in this car because she couldn't stop. Finally, the attendant is yelling to her, "Turn off the car." So she finally did. Anyway, we laughed until we cried often at those stories. And those times together really strengthened our bonds with each other, especially because at that time, the distance between us, we weren't all in the same location, and so it was really wonderful when we were able to be together. So, Karen always had babysitting jobs. She was either babysitting us, or she was babysitting the Delaney kids or the Gary cousins, and she really had a sense, she understood that parents need to have an occasional break. One time she was babysitting for us, and Sally was tiny, just an infant, and she was suffering from terrible, terrible itchy eczema. So she was crying, Sally was crying and crying. Karen was walking the floor with her, soothing her as best as she could. And when Mom got home, she asked Karen why she hadn't called, and Karen replied that she thought it was more important that Mom had a break. And she was like 12 years old then, and wise beyond her years. As Matthew said, his mom was a fabulous cook, and she delighted her grateful husband, Dave, with many innovative and delicious dishes. She loved to try new recipes as well as those from her Polish and German roots. She learned to make excellent beef roast with Yorkshire pudding, Schom tart, and we, of course, have many family favorites. Her English muffin appetizers, the turkey wontons, the city chicken are just a few of the recipes that Karen prepared so well and shared with us at family gatherings. We valued her expertise in the kitchen, and we would often ask her advice on various cooking techniques, and we had many long discussions of what we would prepare for the next family party. It went on and on. Karen had a lot of interests, and a big one was exploring new places with husband Dave. And she and Dave had some amazing travel adventures during their married life to the Northwest United States, national parks, China, South Africa, Botswana, islands of Turks and Caicos, where they had a condo. And Karen really loved her travels with Dave, and that was some really wonderful, sweet memories for them. And she kept shells and lots of photo albums. Karen was also kind of a second mother to our younger siblings. We grew up almost as two families. First Karen, then me, Judy, Doug, then the final four, Sally, Meg, Jean, and Jenny. And so those younger children got included in a lot of family events. And by that time, Jenny was pretty little, and John and Tracy and Matt were also little, and so here was Aunt Jenny. But she has assured us that some of her fondest memories are of being with Karen and her niece and nephews. So Karen's warmth and enduring nature were evident in even her final days. Even those who had known her for only a short time were really touched by her loving spirit, as we all were. As we reflect on Karen's life, we're reminded how she taught us the value of family, compassion, humor, tons of laughter, and loads of great fun at our wonderful family gatherings are memories that we will treasure with all our hearts. Though we cannot be together in person, Karen, we bear your mark upon our souls. Your spirit will forever be part of our gatherings, our stories, and our hearts. In this life, if we are born to give and receive love, Karen, you've excelled. We all saw it, heard it, felt it, and knew it. 1, 2, 3, Karen. And next, we have Robin.
Okay, that's hard to follow. Okay, Karen. This is Karen, sweet Karen. I met Karen when I was working as a consultant for autism for TBA. I wanted to return to teaching in the classroom, but I needed help to find a replacement. And I heard that Karen Guth, a former teacher at the ISD, was interested in applying for the job. I knew of Karen's reputation as being a committed and very skilled teacher from other people in her earlier days at TBA. She got the job and lived up and beyond her reputation. And for Karen and I together, it was the beginning of a great team and a great friendship that never ended and grew into many branches as our lives and work became very entwined. Oh boy, I didn't want to do that. Okay. I found out that Karen and her husband Dave had moved to Kalamazoo, where Dave had a teaching position at Western Michigan University. Karen, for this job, would be moving to Elk Rapids for the TBA job, and Dave would be staying in Kalamazoo. I couldn't help but think, this doesn't sound like a very good marriage. But instead, I found out that it was like a perfect marriage. that included the desire and the space to have each of them wanting the other to fulfill their individual dreams. It made their own relationship even stronger and happier. They saw each other every weekend, and Karen would make food through the week and freeze it for Dave to take back to Kalamazoo. Just recently, Dave told me that personal catering only lasted for a few years, and after that he had to fend for himself. But I know Karen would want me to let you know how she cooked and packaged up delicious homemade food for him. So Karen and I, we were a team in teaching and consulting and delivering services to those precious people and the caregivers of people with autism. We had the same passion for our kids with autism. I don't think either of us was ever bothered by the never-ending questions that constantly came with our job. We both wanted to learn more and get training in the best delivery systems. We traveled to North Carolina to the TEACH programs. We sought out conferences. We visited different programs together to see other AI programs and how they were doing it. We delivered in-services and PowerPoints. That was Karen's specialty, not mine. To our colleagues and beyond, we were extremely involved with their families. We loved them all, and we totally respected each other, and we shared our best practices, even as it changed and evolved with time and new knowledge. We supported each other in hours that we spent thinking about what was the most important ways we could impact these students. Sometimes those hours ran late into the evening and included wine and the best pizza from Chef Charles in Elk Rapids. But it was real work that we did with real plans and constant questions of how we could improve the lives of these complicated people who we loved. We were a team. It was funny because sometimes people would think of us as one person, and they would get confused calling me Karen or calling Karen Robin. And Karen always liked to say that it was because we were the same height. In the year 2000, I adopted my son. He was born in Bulgaria, and I needed to go there to get him. One day, Karen said to me, "I'm going with you." And before I could even close my mouth from my confusion and surprise, she laid out how exactly that could happen. Karen did go with me to Bulgaria on the most important journey of my life. She brought no extra clothes with her except an extra pair of blue jeans that she left behind. She took them there to leave them behind so that we could have extra space, extra baggage, extra whatever we needed for Christoph. She paid her own way to go. Who does that? It was, of course, a very remarkable and intense trip that was made even more remarkable and fun because Karen was with us. For many years afterward, Christoph and I would meet with Karen, and sometimes Karen and Dave, at the Pizza Hut on the anniversary of when he came to the United States. Christoph would bring Karen a rose each year, adding another rose to equal every year that he was here, along with a card with his and Karen's picture together at the Bulgarian Pizza Hut, where it had all started. Karen was the ultimate caregiver. You've heard that from, I think, everybody. She cared for and worried about all of her family, Dave, her children, her grandchildren, her nieces, her nephews, and her siblings. Karen was the oldest of 8, as you also know, and for as long as I can remember, she loved to say all their names in the sequence of their birth order. Karen, Mary, Judy, Doug, Sally, Mary, Jean, and Jenny. She said it faster than I just did. She was able to say that long into her illness. She would say it. She said it all the time. Karen also babysat for so many people in Traverse City that it became a joke that I would meet someone who was a native of Traverse City and went to St. Francis, and pretty soon I would just ask the question, "Did Karen babysit for you?" And the answer was often yes. I'm so glad I was able to see Karen just a couple of weeks before she passed away. We held hands and I rocked and rolled her to music that they were playing at Orchard Creek that day. Karen will forever be in my heart, and I think to myself that she really was as tall as she thought she was and that she wanted to be. Peace and love, sweet, sweet Karen.
Thank you for all those stories in which, again, Karen comes alive to each of us with parts of her life we didn't all know about. Beautiful rememberings. At this point, we have a short video to hear a poem from afar by Karen's godson, Kevin Geary, who also happens to be my brother. He's that youngest one who brought her to Grand Rapids in 1963. And this poem that Kevin will share with us reinforces the message of the poem we heard earlier, was chosen by the family, and it reflects what many of us think that Karen would want to tell us.
Hi, I'm Kevin Geary, and I am Karen's cousin and her godson. The family story is that my parents invited Karen to come and take care of my older brothers and sisters when my mom was in the hospital having me. And I'd like to think that it was as a reward for that they invited her to be my godmother. I also wanted to let the family know that I have 2 Christmas keepsakes from Karen. A bell with an angel on it and a porcelain figure of the little drummer boy, which I decorate with every Christmas, and I will continue to do so. As her godson, I was invited to read this poem that I'd like to share with you. Fill not your hearts with pain and sorrow, but remember me in every tomorrow. Although my leaving causes pain and grief, my going has eased my heart and given me relief. So dry your eyes and remember me, not as I am, but as I used to be. As long as I have the love of you, I can live my life in the hearts of you. I am sorry that I'm not able to be with you, but I'd like to send my love and condolences to all of the family.
So Kevin is also a teacher, following in Karen's footsteps, and that's why he couldn't be here today. Also, you may have noticed that picture over his shoulder. It's in his home where we filmed that. It's a picture of the Voss family. So our grandfather Voss, who I think none of us ever knew, I don't know that, he died in 1937, was right there in that picture. So bringing family again into this farewell to our beloved Karen. So thank you for gathering here today to celebrate Karen's life as we take leave of her earthly presence. I think we're all buoyed by this amazing turnout and the goodness we shared in Karen and the goodness we shared here in this memorial service. As a tribute to Karen, before we take our leave from this place, I want to offer a contemporary reading of Proverbs 31. You can come get that card. That would be just fine. This is a reading of Proverbs 31, and it's in the present sense, and I intentionally left it that way because I think it speaks to us of the many ways, as you hear these terms, where we carry Karen in our hearts and will continue to carry her presence with us. She is a valiant woman. Her roots are firmly planted. The kingdom is within her, her heart treasure-filled. She is a joyful woman for whom laughter is no stranger, a song to sing, a smile to give, a hand to clasp or embrace. She is a strong woman whose heart and arms withstand the pressures and the worries that each day unfolds. She is a patient woman, waiting through storm and night for new life, new growth, rich harvest. She is a loving woman, ever giving and forgiving, ever caring and concerned. She is a sharing woman with arms outstretched, gives her gifts and treasures to those both near and far. And so as we have been blessed, may we also be consoled by the memory of our valiant Karen. We commend her now to God in eternity, knowing that love is immortal and death is only a horizon, and a horizon is nothing save the limit of our sight. Thank you for being here. We'll have some concluding remarks and instructions by Chris from the funeral home here.
Thank you, Maureen. Yes, this will conclude our services here at the funeral home. We are now going to have a private burial take place at the Grand Traverse Memorial Gardens. For those of you who are attending, please line up out here very briefly after this service, and we'll get us moving in the direction to the cemetery. Please remember to turn on your cell phones so your friends can find you also. So thank you all very, very much for coming. I know Karen would be very happy, so good job.